the expert on election fraud. She's got big breaking news. All right, I want to continue with your calls, but I do need to get into a bunch of news as well concerning the TSA, Iran, you name it. Right now, let's go to Nate in New Jersey. Nate, thanks for holding. Welcome. Hi, Nate. Welcome to the airwaves here. Okay, he's gone. Let's go to the next caller. Let's go to Audra in Texas. You're on the air, Audra.
Hi, Alex. This is Audra. I hope everything's going well for you. I've been watching a lot of the news here lately on the Enemy Expatriation Act and kind of monitoring what's going on with Jackson Vanik. I wondered if you had any kind of research or any articles you're planning on putting up on that.
Say that again?
The Jackson Vanik Act. Obama's pushing to do away with that act this year. To show my ignorance, what is the act? I'm sure once I hear about the act, I'm just not familiar with the name, I'll know what it is. This is an amendment that was passed in 1974 that affects U.S. trade relations with communist or formerly communist countries.
Oh, yes, I knew he was trying to get rid of that, yes.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had done any work on this or not.
Does that specifically deal with Cuba?
It deals with China. It deals with Russia. There's a lot in this act that says, for example, action to address market disruption. It's in two parts, and this is in part two.
No, but I mean, now that you raise it, yes, I was aware of the laws barring some of those trade deals, and I haven't covered this enough. But my problem with all these trade deals, they're always one way. I know the deal he's trying to get us with South Korea is a total ripoff. I have studied that particular one, but I know I'm not really familiar with his latest jockeying. What is Obama doing?
He just wants to do away with it altogether. And the thing that kind of concerns me about that is in part two, it has an action to address market disruption. And he's talking out of both sides of his neck as usual, where he's talking about he wants to bring jobs home. But according to this act, anything that causes market disruption, where it's increased quantities that can cause or threaten to cause market disruption to the domestic producers, he's supposed to go in there and keep that from happening, basically, with this act. And that clearly it's not been followed. They haven't been using it, and now he wants to completely get rid of it. And the other act that he's got coming up, and I'll make these quick because I know you got things to do, but the Enemy Expatriation Act, I have been trying to get that information.
Oh, no, that's big. No, that allows them to just take your citizenship away extrajudicially and have you disappear as well. Oh, you're not a citizen, so we're shipping you to Gitmo now.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been trying to get people to wake up and pay attention to this stuff, and I get called patriotic and unpatriotic, and in my assessment of everything, it looks like the Christians have dropped the ball. It really does, and I know you can't say that, but I can say that as a viewer and a listener. I can say that that's what's happened over these last several decades. Is we just sit here and complacent and just drop the ball, let them have it.
Well, no, I actually agree with you. Look, to the World Council of Churches and the International Council of Churches set up by the Rockefellers, they admittedly have come in and taken over the major denominations. So you go to church and you learn how good Bill and Melinda Gates are and how good abortion is and how taking your vaccines is good. I mean, that's the clergy response teams. A lot of these churches are actually on government payroll. They use the faith-based initiative to fence that money to them.
Do you realize how much money these churches are going to make once all this hype on 2012, as it gets closer and closer? I mean, the people are going to start packing these churches, and then you've got the other side of that coin where there are people who say, well, according to Revelations, we're not going to be here, so, we don't have to worry about what's coming. And but
notice, that's why in the 60s and 70s, all these different globalist writers pushed 2012 was to get the non-Christians to have their own reason to cop out. And I even know people that are agnostics who still believe in 2012. It's more of a superstition. So, yeah, it's tailored for them to think that there's going to be a rapture, so they have nothing to deal with. God bless you. I really appreciate your call. Okay, we're going to go to Rick. We're going to go to Brian and Chad and Nate and many others that are holding on the other side of this break. And I'm going to cover some news, too.
Did you ever think you...
Okay, let's rampage through 5 or 6 calls right now, and then I really want to get into some of the economic news. Also, the CDC increases pressure on parents to give children vaccines with deadly toxins in them. We're going to be going over that coming up. Also up at Infowars.com, Ron Paul, outrageous overreach of EPA. We've got that report we're going to be going over, but right now, let's go to Rick in Virginia. Rick, you're on the air.
Yes, how's it going, Alex? I am a military veteran out here in Norfolk, Virginia, and I've kind of heard you talk about these past couple of days about veterans and the fact that nobody's talking about them and stuff. I want to bring up a point to your listeners that should be the most in-your-face example that everything that you're talking about is true. And that's the fact that 18 military veterans are committing suicide every day. And the insane team, I call it, the media insane team, talks about how 6,000 deaths over the past 10 years over in Iraq and the Middle East, but they don't talk about the 18 military veterans that die every day under the government's control because the VA is part of the federal government. Well, if you do the math, that's 18 times 365, that's 6,570 suicides on our own soil every year. You times that by 10, it's the length of the global war on terrorism. That means that 10 times the amount of deaths are here in America as the entire war on terror over the past 10 years combined.
Well, what you're doing is unpatriotic. According to the media, you're supposed to go to football games and thank the troops when they have them stand up and thank them when you see them on the street. But you're supposed to thank them for being part of the globalist wars. You're not, once they've actually been used up, supposed to care about them. And the government hospitals for the military, obviously, are some of the worst in the world. The abuse of the military is just incredible. And they just expand out from there on a daily basis, the way our troops are treated. And I do make a big deal about the record suicides. I saw a statistic, there's 7 times the highest number per capita ever before seen. And that was at the end of the Vietnam War. 7 times. I mean, it is epidemic. But they want to just keep that out of the news and just expand the wars. And, you know, the troops don't want to be patted on the back and told how great they are. They don't want to be in evil wars. They don't want to be sick from DU and nobody gives them treatment so they kill themselves. They don't want to be put on government lists because they're veterans. You know, they don't want the yuppies to come up and thank them all day, you know, because that's the cutesy thing to do. They want their country back. They want Ron Paul to be elected. Again, 70+%, what is it, 74% of all the donations for Democrats and Obama, President Obama, and then all the Republicans is to Ron Paul. The vast majority of donations are to Ron Paul, and the system knows that. And so that's why they're so scared. I mean, the truth is the average American's got their head screwed on actually pretty straight, especially if they live in the real world and, you know, aren't on welfare or something, or just a total TV head. It's just a tiny group of crooks that are up at the top that are running this entire system. I appreciate your call. Let's go ahead and go to Chad in New York. Chad, you're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Jones. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, my friend. Another day above ground is a good day.
Yes, sir. I just want to thank you for leading our people in this time of darkness, okay? And what I mean by that, sir, is that the education that you are dropping on America is needed. And I think that we as Americans need to wake up and take our country back. It's been far too long that we've had crooks and crooked individuals running our country and dictating what policies that they want achieved. And I think that it's people like you that's going to lead us out of the darkness as a country. And I just want to say, Mr. Jones, I haven't been awake that long. I've only been awake for about 6 months, but I'm a cabbie in Long Island, New York, and I've been spreading the word through my cab about your organization and about other organizations and about the truth that needs to be told. We need a new investigation of 9/11. We need these crooks brought to justice, Mr. Jones, by any means necessary. And I am a veteran, too, 82nd Airborne, 4 years I was in the Army, okay? And I want to tell you, sir, I took an oath to defend the Constitution from enemies, foreign and domestic, sir. And if it comes to a revolution in this country, you better believe that I will defend the Constitution. That is not an oath taken lightly. And any veteran out there or any military person that is out there needs to understand what that oath means. Okay? There are traitorous people in this country dragging us down to the abyss, Mr. Jones. And I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry you're a busy man, and I do apologize for taking up your time. But, sir, you are a true patriot, and I just want you to know your work is not unappreciated. It is very appreciated, sir. And
well, Chad, God bless you. Please don't apologize for calling in and being passionate and taking time. That's why we're here and taking your calls, but I do appreciate you calling. Look, it hurts, though, every time somebody tells me what a great job I'm doing. I don't know how to explain it. When I was at that barbecue place Saturday night here in Austin, every person behind the counter was a listener. Every person told me they appreciated me. And I watched them, giving my kids bigger servings than other people were getting. And I watched people looking at me when I was sitting down and eating. I'd go to the bathroom. People would say, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. When I got up to walk or get some iced tea. And I just looked at like young men, old women, black, white, Hispanic, you name it, looking at me and admiring me. And holding me up. And it's like, wow, I've got such an incredible responsibility. And I guess it's because I do fight corruption for the right reasons. I mean, I do it because I don't want to be a slave. It's real simple. And I don't want you to be a slave. But I still... to see so many people counting on me, then it almost makes me overthink every step I make and try to do too good a job. I don't know how to explain it. It's very exhausting. It's very, very exhausting. I was in a restaurant a few months ago, and there was a waiter. We were at a steakhouse, had some friends in town. And the waiter comes over and says, I've bought you, these drinks and the appetizer. I just want to thank you. And he was like an immigrant from, I think he said Brazil. And he said, I've lived, under corruption. I know what you're saying, is true. I see it happening here. And he had broken English. But he said, I just, admire your courage in the face of this evil, how you stomp and smash on everything in your way. And the guy was looking at me with just awe. And, I stomp and smash on everything because I don't have time to be afraid, folks. I don't have time to sit here and worry about what I say and what I do. It is a passion of work to try to get the news out, to try to not make mistakes, to try to have the same passion in my crew, to try to cover every angle and every facet, and to know that there's always 100 times more news that I can't even get to or properly talk about. Because the mind moves hundreds of times faster than the voice. There's just, I don't know how to explain it anymore. But I hear all these great people counting on us. And look, I count on you. I couldn't do what I do without you.